The investigators watched Joseph DeAngelo, quietly from a distance. They saw a man who seemed ordinary. A retired police officer living in a small home in Citrus Heights, California. He rode his motorcycle. He shopped for groceries. He tended to his yard. No one in the neighborhood suspected that behind those calm eyes lay the memory of screams and the weight of 40 years of silence. The task force followed him for weeks. They collected what they could. Bits of trash, a tissue from a garbage can, a sample that could carry the truth of who he really was. Each item sealed with the kind of care only decades of waiting could teach. Then the call came from the lab. The DNA from that tissue matched the DNA of the Golden State Killer. The room fell silent. No cheers. No celebration. Just the heavy breath of disbelief. After 40 years, the ghost had a name, a face, and an address. On April 24, 2018, the officers moved in. The street was still. The morning air cool as police cars surrounded the small suburban house. Neighbors watched from windows. As men with vests and guns approached the door, Joseph DeAngelo stepped outside, confused. His hair gray, his body older, but his eyes sharp. The officer read his rights, and for a moment time folded. The past met the present. Inside his home, they found the ordinary chaos of a quiet life: tools stacked in the garage, a boat in the driveway, a cat wandering the kitchen. Nothing screamed monster yet. In drawers they found traces of the man he had been. Photos, weapons, mementos from years long buried. When the news broke, America froze. The Golden State Killer was no longer a phantom. He was a man in his 70s living among them. Families of the victims wept, some with relief, others with rage. Reporters filled the streets outside his home. True crime lovers flooded the internet with his name, Joseph James DeAngelo. Courtrooms filled with faces that had aged but never forgotten. Survivors stood to tell their stories again. Some trembling, some strong, all carrying decades of pain that finally had a name to direct it toward. DeAngelo spoke little. His lawyers guided him through hearings. But even in silence, the truth screamed. The DNA was undeniable. His guilt painted in science and memory. The victims described how he whispered threats, how he moved like a soldier, how he seemed to take pleasure in control. They told the court how he destroyed families, how he stole sleep and safety from the entire neighborhood. And through it all, DeAngelo sat expressionless. In 2020, he finally confessed to 13 murders and dozens of assaults, his voice low, steady.